Saudi Arabia visit, holds the meeting with the top Saudi leadership and also meets the King of Jordan, Abdullah II. He will address the Future Investment Initiative, agreements on Strategic Partnership Council along with the key pacts in oil and gas sectors on the anvil. Prime Minister Modi says India-Saudi Arabia relations on a historic high. In an interview to a Saudi daily Arab News, Prime Minister Modi praises the kingdom's role for joining India in the fight against global terror and being India's leading partner in the energy security. Delegation of European Union parliamentarians visit Jammu and Kashmir. The delegation praises Prime Minister Modi for his visionary leadership. It's a significant statement from Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis. He says he will again lead the next government in the state. No promise to Shiv Sena on the rotation of the Chief Minister's post. Justice S.A. Bobde will be the next Chief Justice of India. He will take oath on 18th November. The President signs the notification. Hello and good evening. You're watching Doordarshan News with me, Nancy Kohli Mahajan. Our top story, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is visiting Saudi on a historic tour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will have a very hectic schedule during his day-long visit. The Prime Minister will meet the Saudi King Salman bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud today. Prime Minister Modi will also hold a separate round of talks with Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. An agreement on the Strategic Partnership Council is expected to be signed during the visit. King Salman will also host a banquet in the honor of Prime Minister Modi. The launch of integration of the e-Migrate and the Saudi e-Tawthiq portals for the benefit of the workers is also on the cards. An MOU is likely to be signed during the visit to launch the RuPay card in Saudi Arabia that will be very useful for not only the large Indian community but also for Hajj and Umrah pilgrims. Prime Minister Modi will also deliver the keynote address at the third session of the Future Investment Initiative Forum in Riyadh. The FII is also known as the Davos of the desert. The third FII session is organized under the Vision 2030, which is a blueprint for economic transformation of Saudi Arabia through diversification of its oil-based economy. Several initiatives are being undertaken by Saudi Arabia to fulfill this vision. The aim is to work alongside the global strategic partners and investment managers. Under its Vision 2030, Saudi Arabia has selected 8 countries for forging the strategic partnership. And these countries include India, China, the UK, the US, France, Germany, South Korea and Japan. Though a short visit, it is very intense and strong on deliverables and hopes to further strengthen the growing strategic relationship between the two countries. And beginning his engagements in Saudi Arabia, Prime Minister Modi met with the Saudi Minister of Labour and Social Development, Ahmed bin Sulaiman Al Raji. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also met with the Saudi Arabia's Minister of Energy, His Royal Highness Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman. The leaders had a productive meeting. Both the dignitaries talked about efforts to improve energy cooperation between the two nations. And earlier, the Saudi Minister for Environment, Water and Agriculture, Abdul Rahman bin Abdul Mohsen Al Fadle, called on Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Both the sides had productive discussions towards exploring newer areas of cooperation in agriculture, food processing and water technologies. And earlier on, the Prime Minister held bilateral meeting with the King of Jordan, His Majesty King Abdullah ibn Al Hussein in Riyadh. Both the leaders exchanged views on working closely together to strengthen the ties across sectors, especially in trade and investment, human resources development and people-to-people ties. And in an interview to the Arab News of Saudi Arabia, Prime Minister Modi praised Saudi Arabia's role as an important and reliable source of India's energy requirements. The Prime Minister expressed satisfaction over cooperation in the field of counter-terror, security and strategic issues. The Prime Minister said that India and Saudi Arabia are working together within G20 to reduce inequality and promote sustainable development. The Prime Minister said that agreements are to be signed on Strategic Partnership Council. Stressing on the need for deepening bilateral ties in various fields, Prime Minister Modi said that Kingdom's role is an important one and reliable for India's energy requirements. The Prime Minister also highlighted the positive outcome of India's key reforms announced in recent years. The Prime Minister said that India's position in the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business Index has jumped 79 positions. He said major flagship initiatives offers huge opportunities to foreign investors. He also expressed happiness to note Saudi Arabia too embarked upon reform program as part of their Vision 2030. The Prime Minister said that Asian powers like India and Saudi Arabia share similar security concerns in their neighborhood. And besides that, Prime Minister also said that there is a need for collective efforts for the growth of all with everyone's trust. He said that Saudi's Aramco will participate in major refinery and petrochemical project on India's west coast. The Prime Minister said that he is looking forward to participation of Aramco in India's strategic petroleum reserves. And there's a lot of enthusiasm among Indian businessmen living in Saudi Arabia in view of Prime Minister Modi's visit there. They believe that the visit will further strengthen the India-Saudi ties. Let's listen into those reactions.
मेरा ये मानना है इनकी 2016 विजिट एंड रिसेंट विजिट के बाद अब बिजनेस काफ़ी तेज़ी से डेवलप होगा, दिलों में एक फीलिंग बढ़ रही है.
If you have seen recently, there has been a very big development that Saudi Aramco is going to invest more than billions of amount in India. This initiative has come, if you see, it is all because of the new PM's effort only, our PM's effort only.
जितने भी NRIs थे उन लोगों की सख्त ज़रूरत थी यहाँ पे, जैसा दूसरे और जो गूगल पे जो और जो भी थे यहाँ पे, लेकिन जो हज के यात्री जो आते हैं और कई लोग थे जिसको इंडियन रुपीस में उनको ये करना मुश्किल होता था, और यहाँ पे मोर देन 3 मिलियन इंडियंस वी हैव, तो ये बहुत अच्छा इनिशिएटिव है. लास्ट टाइम दुबई में भी उसका वो हुआ था, और यहाँ सऊदी अरेबिया में जिस तरह के लिए हमारे प्राइम मिनिस्टर आ रहे हैं, ये हम लोग इसके लिए तो हम लोग इंतज़ार कर रहे थे.
तो ये कि एजुकेशन के सिलसिले में यहाँ पर जो है वो बहुत अच्छा काम होना है, और वो इंडिया की तरफ देख रहे हैं और जाना भी चाहते हैं एजुकेशन की तरफ से लिए. तो हम समझते हैं कि इस फील्ड पे बहुत अच्छा स्कोप है हम लोग के लिए भी और इंडिया के लिए. हम लोग से बल्कि इससे ज़्यादा क्लोजनेस हम ज़्यादा क्लोज होंगे और किसी फील्ड के मुकाबले में एजुकेशन के ज़रिए.
देखिए, हिंदुस्तान के बिजनेसमैन के लिए बहुत अच्छी अपॉर्चुनिटी है यहाँ पे, और यहाँ के लोग भी वहाँ जाना चाहते हैं, और अगर अच्छा एग्रीमेंट हुआ और सब कुछ अच्छा हुआ तो लोग यहाँ के भी वहाँ जाएंगे और वहाँ से भी यहाँ आएंगे. इन्वेस्टमेंट अपॉर्चुनिटी दोनों तरफ है.
IT is a major sector in Saudi Arabia, and all the leading IT companies are here, and we are providing end-to-end support to Saudi government in all their IT initiatives.
There is when GN projects are coming, 3 region projects are coming, and we are expecting a more domination in that project by PM's visit, and hope his meetings with Crown Prince or Kings will help to Indian companies to dominate in that projects.
मीडिया के क्षेत्र में अगर हम कॉपरेशन करते हैं तो हम समझते हैं कि भारत और सऊदी अरब के ताल्लुकात और बेहतर हो सकते हैं. वी विल बी प्रोग्रेसिंग मोर एंड मोर.
And let's now go across to our correspondent Kanchan Prasad, who is joining us with updates from Saudi Arabia. Kanchan, good evening. All eyes will now be on the signing of agreements, and the very important, the signing of the Strategic Partnership Council. And just put this into perspective for us, because this is going to be an important aspect of the evening today, because Strategic Partnership Council agreement that's going to be signed between India and Saudi Arabia will further strengthen the already robust relations between the two nations, and India will become the 4th country to have this agreement with Saudi Arabia. Tell us more about this. Kanchan, are you with us? Yeah.
Yes, I am. Can you
Yes.
hear me?
Yes, I
Nancy,
can now.
Even as we talk, Prime Minister is there having bilateral talks with King Salman, where almost 12 agreements are due to be signed. And of course, the most important one is the India and Saudi Arabia Strategic Partnership Council MOU, which will be headed by Prime Minister Modi from India and Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia from the other side. And of course, as you are aware, there are two verticals, one at the foreign minister level on both sides and the other at the trade minister's level. And Saudi Arabia, as you know, has been opening up for the past couple of years. And it is the Crown Prince's Vision 2030, as they call it here.
Right.
Saudi Arabia has selected about 8 countries for forming strategic partnership. And India, of course, is one of them, along with UK, US, France, Germany, Japan, Korea, and I think China too.
Yes.
So when Crown Prince visited India in February this year, that was the time when kind of there was an understanding that a kind of a strategic partnership council should be formed between the two countries, and that was where the seeds were laid for this council, and now it is being fructified during Prime Minister's visit to Saudi Arabia, where it will be formalized. In fact, Prime Minister, in an interview with Arab News, said that with the signing of this Strategic Partnership Council, the robust and deep bilateral ties in various fields are only going to further strengthen. And as you know, that this particular council is kind of an all-encompassing council, and any issues related between India and Saudi Arabia, any of the issues which comes up, it will be settled within the framework of this particular council.
Right.
Nancy?
Right, absolutely. And talking about this visit of the Prime Minister to Saudi Arabia, this is important because, and specifically for energy cooperation, and also from the viewpoint of the launch of the Strategic Partnership Council. And like you're also saying, Kanchan, that this will, the council will begin a new era of cooperation across sectors. It would enable the regular monitoring of the progress of strategic partnership. And talking about energy cooperation, that's also going to be very important because, apart from other sectors, we know that energy cooperation is a very strong aspect of relations between the two nations. And talking about the agreements, the dozen agreements that are likely to be inked, while those include, of course, the oil and gas, the renewable energy, civil aviation. So what inputs are you picking up as far as these agreements that could be inked today are concerned?
Nancy, energy security, in the field of energy security, I would say that India and Saudi Arabia already have had a very strong relationship even in the past. And India imports around 18% of its crude oil from the kingdom, making it the second largest source of crude oil for India. And but what we have to see that now India has moved from that purely a buyer-seller relationship to form a strategic relationship, which is very, very important. And we see the trajectory of growth and how the relationship between the two countries have evolved. And even Prime Minister Modi said that, moving this strategic partnership and will include Saudi investments in downstream oil and gas projects, and stable oil prices, as you know, are very, very crucial for the Indian economy. Not only Indian economy, but the economy world over. So, in essence, the relationship between the two countries have diversified from just the energy cooperation into various other fields, which include civil aviation, as you said, the defense partnership, even in the field of agriculture. So it's kind of in the multi-level areas that India and Saudi Arabia are cooperating.
Right. And Prime Minister Modi has, in fact, when he reached Riyadh, he described the nation as a valued friend of India. He's in fact also spoken about how the two countries have been working together within the G20 to reduce inequality and promoting sustainable development. So talking about the closer cooperation that we have been seeing between India and Saudi Arabia, and that's only going to get deeper with this visit of the Prime Minister.
Absolutely, Nancy. India and Saudi Arabia have long had a strong people-to-people contact as well. So, and of course, the Sustainable Development Goals, the concerns of terrorism and security-related measures, which are common to both countries, are now being seen as being aligned. So, as you can see that this time agreements are being signed in areas relating to defense, security, renewable energy.
Sure.
In fact, during this visit, the Prime Minister is due to launch the rupee card in the kingdom, which will facilitate payments and remittances by the Indian diaspora. And even for the Hajj and the Umrah pilgrims who come to Saudi Arabia every year, more than about 2 lakh pilgrims, they visit Saudi Arabia every year. It will kind of facilitate them while they are on the visit. And very importantly, between the two countries, there are a lot of labor issues which are involved.
Right.
So, the integration of the e-migrant and the e-South
Absolutely.
portal, that will facilitate the process of migration of the Indian labor into the kingdom. At least now they can be accounted for, like there will be no illegal entries, both the sides will try and check it so that nobody enters illegally and kind of nobody is, victimized here. So,
Sure.
and apart from that, there are training aspects because India also says that, India has a lot of capacity building centers and many of the youths of the Saudi Arabia can be trained in many fields and a mutual cooperation in these fields are also being discussed.
Right.
Nancy?
Okay. And also important going to be for the evening today is Prime Minister Modi addressing the FII, of course, the Future Investment Initiative. And that's also going to be very important, Kanchan. Of course, we know that the initiative organized by Saudi Arabia's Sovereign Wealth Fund, that's the Public Investment Fund. And this forum is popularly known as the Davos of the desert. So, Prime Minister Modi going to be addressing
I'm
that.
missing your voice.
Or can you hear me now clearly?
Nancy, I can't hear you, Nancy.
All right. We'll try and reconnect with you in just a bit. We hope we have the audio better and soon, but we will get back to you in just a bit, Kanchan, to get the very latest updates from Saudi Arabia. So Prime Minister Modi there on a visit, and shortly from now we'll be seeing the signing of agreements. Around a dozen agreements is what we are getting to know, likely to be inked, and of course very important, the launch of the India-Saudi Arabia Strategic Partnership Council that's going to open a new era of cooperation across various sectors and strengthen the already robust relations between the two nations. In fact, India will become the 4th country to have such an agreement with Saudi Arabia. The bilateral ties between India and Saudi Arabia going to be strengthened in fact only with the signing of this council. And let's also tell you what we are expecting later this evening is that India Saudi Arabia to also signing a raft of key pacts to significantly ramp up the ties in several key sectors, including oil and gas, the renewable energy and civil aviation as well. Also, in fact, like I said, the India Saudi Arabia Strategic Council pact that's going to be important, an MOU to roll out the rupee card, that's India's digital payment system, and a separate one on bringing coordination between e-migration systems of the two countries, clearly setting the bilateral ties on a higher growth trajectory with the signing of these agreements and the signing of the Strategic Partnership Council that will take place this evening, shortly in fact from now. And important going to be Prime Minister Modi addressing the Future Investment Initiative. That's a forum organized by Saudi Arabia's Sovereign Wealth Fund, the Public Investment Fund. The forum is popularly known as the Davos of the desert. So we'll be getting you all the updates from Saudi Arabia in just a bit, and we'll have all our eyes and coverage here on Doordarshan News and DD India for you. But we are moving on now to some other news for the time being, and talking about another important news. Well, the 28-member delegation of European Union MPs visited Srinagar today, and they will be meeting with the Jammu and Kashmir administration officials and the local residents of Srinagar. They're also likely to call on the J&K Governor Satyapal Malik.
Yes, it's fantastic, and I'm quite reassured actually that we're getting access to Kashmir and the first foreign delegates to be able to do that, to look at the situation on the ground. Of course, the UK is part of the Commonwealth of Nations, and we are absolutely adamant that we must try and maintain peace and unity between our various Anglosphere countries. And so it's good to be able to go to Kashmir, look at the geopolitical situation and be able to report back at home what we believe is going on there.
it's a good opportunity for us to come here and first hand hear what the situation is in Kashmir, how the changes are going to be affected, and also for us now to go into Kashmir as a foreign delegation and to be able to see first hand for ourselves what is happening on the ground.
Okay, let's now go across to our correspondent Vishal Barrister, who is joining us from Srinagar this evening. Vishal, good evening. First of all, fill us in with the latest from what you are seeing there as far as the visit of the European Union delegation to J&K is concerned. Have they met with the officials, and have they also met with the governor?
Very good evening to you, Nancy. Yes, the 28-member European Union parliamentarians, they have reached Srinagar, and in the afternoon, they were they went for a lunch. It was hosted by the GOC, and they met the army officials there as well. In the evening, we have been informed that they have met some delegates of different political parties, and they are also expected to meet the governor. The official schedule is expected in some time, but let me tell you that tomorrow the General Officer Commanding would be holding a press conference, and there more things would be clarified as to what has transpired between the delegation and the army, and also on the situation of Jammu and Kashmir. Nancy?
All right, Vishal, thanks for those inputs for now, but we'll get back to you as and when we have more inputs on that as far as this delegation of the European Union delegation, the 28-member delegation of European Union MPs visiting Srinagar today, and also in fact be calling on the J&K governor Satyapal Malik. Meanwhile, in Jammu and Kashmir, as many as 1.6 lakh students appeared in the Board of School Education examinations being conducted today at 1500 centres across Kashmir. Class 12th examinations will commence from tomorrow, in which 48,000 students will appear at 633 centres. And moving on now to political news from Maharashtra. In a big development, the Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis has expressed confidence that he will lead the next Maharashtra government for the next 5 years. He also said that the BJP Shiv Sena will soon form the government, while pushing aside claims that any 50-50 formula was agreed upon between the two coalition partners. He added that Shiv Sena has not made any demand as yet, saying any decision will only be made on merit basis. He also said that no offer of Deputy Chief Minister was discussed with the Shiv Sena. Meanwhile, the BJP Vice President of Maharashtra unit expressed hope that the coalition government will soon be formed in the state.
फॉर्मल बातचीत तो शुरू हो चुकी है, अगर मुख्यमंत्री जी ने कहा है तो 100% वो शुरू हो चुकी है। जल्द ही शपथ विधि की तारीख भी तय की जाएगी और आने वाले कुछ ही दिनों में महायुति की सरकार होगी।
And let's now go across to our correspondent Shama Mishra, who is joining us from Mumbai to get the latest as far as the government formation in Maharashtra is concerned. Shama, good evening. The deliberations are underway. The talks have been happening for a while now. But what's the latest coming in as far as the government formation there is concerned? Where have the talks what have the talks yielded so far?
We can see here in Maharashtra that a number of words have begun, and both from the BJP's end and Shiv Sena's end, a host of statements have started coming in. We saw, first of all, that Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis, he spoke to the reporters for the Diwali celebrations, and there he gave a lot of information regarding the government formation process, the ongoing process that was happening. And he did mention that nothing of 50-50 formula had been spoken when Amit Shah, the BJP leader, he had come and spoken to Shiv Sena Chief Uddhav Thackeray. And after that, even Shiv Sena's end, Sanjay Raut and other leaders also have spoken out and did mention that earlier there was a discussion that 50-50 formula was discussed, and a lot of clips also started coming out from the Shiv Sena's end that that Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis, when Amit Shah was in Mumbai, he had given a lot of statements like that, and the Shiv Sena started giving out those clips to all the media channels, reminding that Chief Minister had discussed certain things, and it is a reminder. Also, we saw that Chief of Shiv Sena, Uddhav Thackeray, had hinted that if there's a 50-50 formula, only then the government formation would happen. From both the ends, we are getting to know that both are willing to form the government because these are the natural alliance partners, and the mandate has also been given to these people, to these parties also. But the delay now here is obviously about the portfolio distribution, allocation, and about the 50-50 formula, because Shiv Sena wants 2.5 years term of chief ministership, or they want a deputy chief minister post in the regime. And BJP currently is saying that nothing of this sort has happened. The discussion of this sort has not happened, and even Shiv Sena has not come forward for any portfolio allocation. So now it was. These are also coming out from sources that around 4 o'clock today there was a discussion lined up from both the Shiv Sena's and BJP's end. They were about to speak, but after Chief Minister giving out such statements, Shiv Sena Chief Uddhav Thackeray has cancelled that on what basis now the discussion would take place. Now, from both ends, the official and unofficial discussions are on, and we are expecting, because both parties were waiting for the Diwali celebrations to end, and this is the last day for Diwali celebrations. We are expecting a lot of action happening tomorrow, from tomorrow onwards, and we are also getting to know that Shiv Sena would be choosing their leader for the Vidhan Sabha tomorrow at around 1 o'clock. So yes, a lot of we would be gathering there as well.
Okay. Right, Shama, we have heard from the Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis that the BJP will be leading the stable and efficient government of alliance for 5 years. Have we heard anything so far from the Shiv Sena?
That's what we just said, that around 4 o'clock the discussion was lined up between both parties. But after statements coming out from the Chief Minister, that discussion has been cancelled particularly. But both the parties, the MLAs from BJP's end are also in discussion with the Shiv Sena, and Shiv Sena's MLAs are also in discussion with the BJP's end, and we are getting statements from all sides, from both the sides rather, that both the MLAs.
So any new schedule that's been set for the talks to resume, Shama? Any new schedule that's been set for the talks to resume?
The schedule has not come out, but since these are from all the sources, unofficially these discussions are still underway. And like we said, senior leaders are in talks and trying to convince both the parties, both each other, that a concrete formula should be, they should be coming to a concrete formula. It's not 50-50, because Shiv Sena is adamant that a discussion on 50-50 should take place and nothing less than that. While BJP is not really up to that a 50-50 formula would be given, because Chief Minister has already spoken that nothing of 50-50 was discussed. However, if asked on merit of the MLAs, then portfolios would be allocated, and we are hoping that once the leader from both the parties are elected, a concrete action plan or a concrete proposal from both the sides would be given out, and as soon as we were expecting before that once Diwali celebrations end, they must have come to some concrete proposals for each other, and the government formation, the oath-taking ceremony would take place. But now, I guess, the things are now getting stretched out and should take some more time. But yes, both the parties are willing to form the government. So yes, we have to wait and watch for now, and let's hope the government formation is done as soon as possible.
All right. Shama, also in fact, any word that you are picking up as far as when is the BJP legislature party meeting going to be held?
So the BJP is going to, from Chandrakant Patil, the senior leader from BJP, he has called for a meeting of all the legislators, MLAs tomorrow in Vidhan Sabha. And we are also getting to know that he would be speaking later on with the media. And from there on, we can get more information as to what is going on and what would be the road ahead with both the Shiv Sena and BJP.
Yes, absolutely, and we'll be keeping our eyes on that, the developments taking place as far as the government formation in Maharashtra is concerned. Well, thanks Shama for the moment and filling us in with the latest inputs from there. Moving on now, President Ramnath Kovind today presented the first National Corporate Social Responsibility Awards at Vigyan Bhavan. The awards have been instituted by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs to recognize the corporate initiatives in the area of CSR to achieve inclusive growth and sustainable development. These awards are the highest government recognition in the domain of corporate social responsibility. Addressing the gathering, the President said that the government is sensitive about the need to calibrate the CSR regime to make it more effective. He also asked CSR to set a target for the welfare of orphans and Divyangjans.
Whom shall we help most? I have in my mind orphan children and Divyang. While the government has done what it can to give them a helping hand, society and especially the corporate sector can still do more for them. Can we plan in such a way that within a foreseeable future, every orphan child can get personal care? We can set 2030 as a deadline to ensure providing care to every child.
And the President also urged those who were in attendance there to motivate their employees to do more for the service of society.
I will also urge upon you to motivate your employees and sensitize them to the higher calling in service of the marginalized sections of society. This single step will generate enough goodwill for wealth creators among ordinary people.
And addressing the event, the Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman appreciated the role of corporate sector for giving back to society.
I appreciate the Corporate Affairs Secretary who's put in this kind of an effort to make sure that the recognition is given to the wealth creators, not just for wealth creation, but to give back to the community in the name of CSR. Giving back to the community from where you earned the profit and justified and rightful profit is the spirit of the CSR, which in this country has now gained a lot of traction, and therefore to recognize wealth creators who are giving back to their communities in very many different ways is a very important thing.
Meanwhile, in a humanitarian gesture during the event, President Ramnath Kovind and the Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman came down the stage and inquired about the health and the well-being of a woman security personnel who had fallen down at the event. Moving on now, Justice Sharad Arvind Bobde has been appointed as the 47th Chief Justice of India. Justice Bobde will take oath on 18th November, a day after incumbent Ranjan Gogoi demits office. The Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister, Dr. P.K. Mishra, presented the warrant of appointment to Honorable Chief Justice Designate Justice S.A. Bobde. He will have a tenure of 17 months and would demit office on 23rd of April 2021. And let's now go across to our correspondent Vikas Sarthi, who is joining us for more on that. Vikas, so Justice Bobde has been appointed as the next Chief Justice of India. President Kovind has signed the warrant, and of course he will take oath on 18th November.
All right, Nancy. The President has approved his elevation as Chief Justice of India. Earlier, the outgoing Chief Justice of India, Ranjan Gogoi, recommended his name as the next CJI. It has been in practice that when a Chief Justice completes his term, he nominates the other senior most judge as CJI designate, and the President has approved that recommendation. Justice S.A. Bobde was appointed to Supreme Court in 2013. Before that, he was a judge in Bombay High Court. So his parent High Court is Bombay High Court, and he has also served as Chief Justice of Madhya Pradesh High Court. He will remain in the office of CJI till 2021, April 2021.
Yes.
So it's just little short from a 2 years term. And he has some very important he has to take some very important initiatives, because every CJI comes with a plan to deal with the pendency of the cases, and we have seen that there have been different approaches of the previous CJIs. Now we will see that how Justice Bobde will deal with this issue, and on 18th of November he will be administered oath of CJI in the President House.
Right. All right, Vikas, thanks for joining us and filling us in with all those inputs. Thanks very much. Moving on now, the Odisha State Disaster Management Authority organized mini marathon from Kalinga Stadium to Governor's House Chowk in order to observe the National Disaster Management Day today. The motive behind the marathon is to raise awareness on disaster reduction and disaster management. Youth along with senior officers took part in the marathon. The Disaster Management Day is observed every year on 29th of October as the day marks the death of around 10,000 people due to super cyclone in 1999. With an aim to curb street crime, the Delhi police had launched 15 Prakhar vans to control the street crimes in the national capital. And giving boost to efforts to control crime, the Delhi police has added another 15 vans to its tally. These vans will be deployed especially in the vulnerable spots which registers higher number of crimes. Notably, one woman staff will also be deployed in each van. The police personnel have been given special training to deal with any situation. The move aims at providing a sense of safety among the Delhiites by controlling crimes in the national capital.
प्रखर गाड़ी जो दिल्ली पुलिस ने लॉन्च किया है वो पिछले महीने केंद्रीय गृह राज्य मंत्री साहब की तरफ से 15 गाड़ियाँ लॉन्च हुई थी। उस फ्लीट में ये इजाफा है, 15 और गाड़ियाँ दी गई है ताकि हर डिस्ट्रिक्ट में 2-2 गाड़ियाँ ऐसे रहे प्रखर गाड़ियाँ जिनको एक्सक्लूसिव टास्क दिया गया है कि जो स्ट्रीट क्राइम प्रोन स्ट्रेचेस हैं हर डिस्ट्रिक्ट में उस पे ये पेट्रोलिंग करेंगे और अपने ड्यूटी निभाएंगे। मैंने भी इनकी ब्रीफिंग ली हुई है तो उनको ये बताया गया कि उनको स्पेशल टास्क दिया गया है और एरिया में अलर्ट रह के ड्यूटी रखेंगे, मेहनत करेंगे और अच्छा गुड वर्क करेंगे।
इसका इम्पैक्ट बहुत बड़ा है। ऐसे जगह पे वारदात में कमी आई है, कॉल्स में कमी आई है। उसी क्रम में आज 15 और जुड़ने से हर डिस्ट्रिक्ट में 2 स्ट्रीट क्राइम के अगेंस्ट में जो ये हमारा मुहिम है उसमें बढ़ोतरी होगी, उसको हम और अच्छी तरीके से कंट्रोल कर सकेंगे। इसमें हमारे पास वेपन भी हैं। अगर बाई चांस कोई इस तरह का क्रिमिनल आ जाता है, क्योंकि हमें नहीं पता है कि जो एक्यूज्ड है, क्रिमिनल है, उसके पास क्या वेपन है, कोई फायर आर्म भी हो सकता है, तो उनसे भी निपटने के लिए हमने इसमें तैयारी कर रखी है।
Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh had a telephonic conversation with the Minister of Defence of Japan, Taro Kono, today. The Raksha Mantri congratulated him on behalf of the Government of India for the enthronement of His Majesty the Emperor Naruhito. The two ministers also exchanged views on bilateral relations and regional security situation. Expressing satisfaction on the robust defence cooperation between India and Japan, the Raksha Mantri recalled his successful meetings with the Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, and the then Defence Minister of Japan, Takeshi Iwaya, during his visit to Japan in September this year. Rajnath Singh looked forward to meeting the Defence Minister of Japan during the forthcoming ASEAN Defence Ministers Plus meeting in Bangkok in November this year. The Ayushman Bharat scheme run by the central government is proving to be beneficial for crores of people across the country. After the implementation of Ayushman Bharat Yojana, now even the deprived people are getting free treatment at the hospitals. Let's take a look at this ground report from the Raisen district of Madhya Pradesh.
The Ayushman Bharat scheme has provided much needed relief to crores of poor and deprived people of India. People of Raisen district of Madhya Pradesh who were unable to get treatment for serious diseases due to financial constraints are now able to get medical treatment free of cost under the scheme. Raghuveer Rakwal, a resident of Raisen, says that he suffered heart attack and the cost of treatment in a private hospital was very high. Under the Ayushman Bharat scheme, he got treatment free of cost.
मेरा इलाज काफ़ी महंगा था और उस दौरान मुझे पता चला कि आयुष्मान कार्ड द्वारा मेरा इलाज हो सकता है, तो मैंने आयुष्मान कार्ड बनवाया मेरा और मेरा इलाज हुआ, क्योंकि मेरा इलाज करीबन 1,55,000 रुपये 1.5 लाख के समथिंग था, उससे हुआ है और आज मैं संतुष्ट हूँ।
Meena, Raghuveer's wife says that her husband has got a new lease of life from the Ayushman Bharat scheme. She's thanked the Prime Minister for this initiative.
मेरे मिस्टर के सीने में दर्द था, इनको मैं विदिशा उपचार के लिए ले गई थी। वहाँ पे इनको अचानक अटैक आ गया, वहाँ से इनको भोपाल रेफर किया गया। उधर से बोला गया कि आपका खर्च ज्यादा आएगा, आप नहीं कर पाएंगी, आयुष्मान कार्ड द्वारा आप इलाज करवाना। हमने वहाँ पे तुरंत में आयुष्मान कार्ड बनवाया, फिर इनको भोपाल ले गए। उससे इनका डेढ़ लाख के करीब इलाज हुआ। अब ये ठीक हैं। मैं भारत सरकार की इस योजना से बहुत संतुष्ट हूँ और मैं धन्यवाद देना चाहती हूँ। हम जैसे गरीब परिवारों को इससे मदद मिलती है।
Ayushman Bharat scheme has provided better medical treatment, especially to the rural poor who could not afford treatment in private hospitals. This scheme has proved to be a boon for such people. Bureau Report, DD News.
And our health story now. Well, as the air pollution continues to deteriorate in the national capital, we are sharing with you some of the tips to prevent ourselves from the ill effects of air pollution.
Air pollution is a major environmental health problem. Pollutants in the air not only increase the risk of respiratory illnesses but have a range of effects on the overall health.
When one inhales bad air, it causes inflammation in the airways, and there are certain changes which happen in the proteins, cell proteins, and those proteins are identified as foreign bodies, and our own body starts acting against those proteins. So there is a state of inflammation which sets in the body, which results in many types of disorders. It increases the risk of diabetes. Even obesity is being linked with air pollution these days.
Knowing about the sources that contribute to air pollution and what precautions may be taken when the pollution levels are high is essential.
One can share the car or pool the car when going to the office or going to any place where many people are going. Or even taking appropriate measures at the construction site so the dust doesn't go high up in the air, or by stopping the crop burning. If air quality is bad, then one can use masks while on the road, or one can also avoid going out at the times when there is air quality is very bad, and one can avoid going for morning walks in the morning when air is supposed to be really bad in days where air pollution is high.
Take steps to reduce the levels of pollution in the air and make the environment clean to reduce the risk of illnesses and ensure a healthy life for everyone. Kiran Bhardwaj, DD News.
In some other news now, transactions using India's own domestic payments platform, the Unified Payments Interface, the UPI, hit a landmark of 1 billion in October. That's 3 years after its launch. The UPI also recently crossed 100 million users. This achievement makes it the fastest adoption of any payment system anywhere else in the world. The National Payments Corporation of India, which launched the domestic payments platform 3 years ago and operates it as well, aims to take the fund transfer system to other countries such as Singapore and the UAE. Moving on now to international headlines. Days before the United Kingdom was formally due to leave the European Union on 31st of October, Brexit hangs in the balance, with the British politicians still arguing over how, when or even if the divorce should take place at all. In a recent development, the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson will try for a fourth time to secure an early general election after the MPs rejected his plan. The Prime Minister will publish a bill proposing a poll on 12th December that would only need a simple majority to succeed, not 2/3 as required in the previous attempts. However, he would still need votes from smaller parties for it to pass. The push for an election came after Johnson officially accepted European Union's offer of an extension to the Brexit deadline to 31st of January. The US House of Representatives, which is controlled by the opposition Democratic Party, will vote on the impeachment procedures against President Donald Trump for the first time later this week, according to a letter by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. In the letter released to the press on Monday, Pelosi said, "This week we will bring a resolution to the floor that affirms the ongoing existing investigation that is currently being conducted by our committees as part of this impeachment inquiry, including all requests for documents, subpoenas for records and testimony, and other investigative steps previously taken or to be taken as part of this investigation." Pelosi said, "We are taking this step to eliminate any doubt as to whether the Trump administration may withhold documents, prevent the witness testimony, disregard duly authorized subpoenas, or continue obstructing the House of Representatives." And the Trump administration has reacted sharply to the move. Moving on now, the Egyptian security forces have killed 13 suspected militants in a raid in the restive North Sinai. The Interior Ministry said that police raided a hideout in a deserted farmhouse in Al Arish, the provincial capital of North Sinai, triggering a shootout. Weapons including explosive devices, rifles and guns were found without giving the date of the operation. Egypt has for years been fighting an insurgency in North Sinai that escalated after the military's 2013 ouster of the Islamist President Mohamed Morsi following mass protests. The military has launched a nationwide offensive since February 2018 against Islamic militants, focusing on North Sinai, where a local affiliate of the Islamic State group is based. Around 750 suspected jihadis and around 60 soldiers have since been killed, according to official figures. In Sri Lanka, political parties have agreed to a proposal by the Elections Commission to extend the voting period of the upcoming presidential elections by an hour. Accordingly, polling will be held from 7 in the morning to 5 in the evening on the 16th of next month to elect a new government. The decision was reached during a meeting held between the officials of the Election Commission and the representatives of the political parties. The decision was necessitated as the election will see a record 35 candidates contesting, and the ballot papers will be more than 2 feet long. In the past, the voting time for all elections in Sri Lanka has been from 7 in the morning to 4 late afternoon. Moving on now to sports news. Tiger Woods equaled the PGA Tour record of 82 tournament wins with victory at the Zozo Championship. The 43-year-old world number 10 had 7 holes to finish in Japan on Monday as he matched fellow American Sam Snead's record set in 1965. It was his first event since having his 5th knee operation 9 weeks ago. In April, Woods won his first major for 11 years with victory at the Masters, leaving him 3 short of Jack Nicklaus's record of 18 major titles. And the Wimbledon champion Simona Halep survived match point before beating Canadian teenager Bianca Andreescu in a pulsating WTA finals clash in Shenzhen. The 28-year-old Romanian was on the brink at 6-5 in the second set before taking her third set point in the tie-break to force a decider. The US Open champion Andreescu required lengthy treatment on her back before Halep clinched a 3-6, 7-6, 6-3 win. Earlier on Monday, defending champion Irina Svitolina beat Karolina Pliskova. The WTA finals see the world's top 8 compete into round-robin groups of 4, with the winners and the runners-up advancing to the semi-finals. Svitolina is in the purple group alongside Pliskova, Halep and Andreescu. The red group features Naomi Osaka, Ashley Barty, Petra Kvitova and Belinda Bencic. And news now from back home. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has time and again appealed to society to respect the many unsung heroes who make contributions to society that go unnoticed. While Shruti, who gives her time to educating the underprivileged children, has been recognized with a Bharat Ki Lakshmi award. Here's more.
This is the story of Shruti, a teacher in a slum colony and her students. From the past 3 years, every morning Shruti teaches these underprivileged children, and thanks to her efforts, 45 out of 60 students are now going to school.
Earlier, these kids were not going to school. When I started teaching them, gradually they start going to school after much convincing. 90% of these kids are now in government school.
After being inspired by Prime Minister's Mann Ki Baat program, a local NGO, Soham, conferred the Bharat Ki Lakshmi Award on Shruti and recently celebrated Durga Ashtami and Umeedon Ki Diwali with these children.
हमारे बीच कई ऐसी बेटियां होगी जो अपनी मेहनत और लगन से, टैलेंट से परिवार का, समाज का, देश का नाम रोशन कर रही होगी। क्या इस दिवाली पर भारत की इस लक्ष्मी के सम्मान के कार्यक्रम हम कर सकते हैं?
So as a society, we decided to help her out and contributed as a part. Recently, Prime Minister in Mann Ki Baat has pointed two important things. First, that girls are Lakshmi and they should be honored in every possible way. And taking inspiration from that, we have given Shruti a certificate of appreciation of Bharat Ki Lakshmi. Taking cue from Prime Minister's Mann Ki Baat, we have recently celebrated Umeedon Ki Diwali, where we have given all the necessary requirements to the children.
There are so many unsung heroes who are doing their bit for the upliftment of society, but their work goes unnoticed. It is important to recognize them and give them the credit that they deserve. Tumul Kakkad's report for DD India from Meerut.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the news, but news and updates will continue here. Thanks for being with us.